The truth is, most people think being a good Christian, a good spouse, a good employee, even a good entrepreneur means learning to accept whatever life throws at you. Bills you can't pay, a body that's breaking down, a business that won't move. It's God's will, they say. Just be resigned to it. I'm here to tell you that's a lie. And it's one of the most dangerous lies you'll ever believe. Because it sounds humble. It sounds spiritual. It sounds like faith. But there are two kinds of submission in this world. One will keep you weak forever, and the other will make you unstoppable. And today, we're going to learn the difference, because your whole life might be riding on which one you've been practicing. Welcome to the Above and Beyond Affiliate Marketing. I'm your host, Jason Reiland, and as always, I've got Sophia here with me.
Hi, everyone. So glad you're here. I'm Sophia, and my job on this show is simple. I ask the questions you're already asking. So if something Jay says makes you go, wait, but what about? Trust me, I'm going to bring it up.
That's right. And today, we're continuing the Hidden Power series with episode 10, phase 5, submission. We're going to talk about a word most of us have gotten completely wrong. A word that's been used to keep people small, quiet, and stuck. By the end of this episode, you're going to see submission in a whole new light. One that doesn't shrink you, but builds you up. Let's get into it. Here's the big idea for today. There are two kinds of submission. One, submission to superior force. That's just giving up because something's bigger than you is pushing you down. The other is submission to superior truth. That's choosing to align yourself with something greater because you see it's right. One of those is weakness and the other is strength. And most churches, most self help gurus, most well meaning people in your life have been teaching you the wrong one. The just accept it, it's God's will kind. They've dressed up weakness and called it holiness.
So you're saying not all giving up is the same thing? That there's a version of surrender that actually makes you stronger, not weaker?
Exactly, Sophia. That's the whole episode right there. Now stick with me. Think about a photo of someone weak leaning on someone strong. It tugs at your heart, right? But here's the question nobody asks. Which one do you actually want to be in that picture? Not the weak one needing help. You want to be the strong one giving it. The weak figure by itself doesn't inspire you. It makes you feel sorry for it. Its beauty only shows you what's missing. Strength. So when people tell you to just be the weak one, lean on God, accept your suffering, they're selling you half a picture and calling it the whole gospel. Higher thought pushes back on this hard. It says the real beauty was never in the leaning. It was in the strength doing the holding. And that kind of strength isn't something you get by submitting. You get it by refusing to submit to weakness in the first place. Here's what this looks like in your business right now. Maybe sales are down. Maybe a partnership fell apart. And maybe somebody told you, just accept it. It's just the way it is. That's submission to force. And it'll keep you stuck forever. The other option, you look at the setback and say, this isn't the will of anything good for my life. I don't have to bow to this. It's not arrogance, that's submission to a higher truth. The truth that you were built to grow, not to shrink. So ask yourself today, where in your life have you been quietly resigning yourself to something and calling it faith, when really it was just fear wearing a robe? Now, here's where it gets even deeper, because this isn't just about mindset. This is about what you believe God actually wills for your life. If you believe sickness, sorrow, pain, and trouble are just God's will, then sure, resign yourself to it, right? That's the only logical response. But here's the problem, that assumption is wrong. It's not backed up by a real careful look at how the universe, spiritual or physical, actually works. Scripture itself tells us Christ came to destroy, and I quote, him that hath the power of death, which is the devil. Death is the ultimate negative. It's the complete absence of everything that makes life life. And anything that drains the life out of your days, sickness, fear, defeat, carries that same deathly quality. That is not God's fingerprint. That's the opposite of Him.
Wait. So, when bad things happen, we've been taught to say that's God's will almost automatically. You're saying that might actually be backwards?
Completely backwards, Sophia. God is life, and life, by its very nature, only moves in one direction: forward, upward, affirmative. For God to will sickness or defeat into your life would mean life trying to destroy itself. It doesn't even make sense. In the picture of the New Jerusalem, the fully renewed life, we're told sorrow and sighing flee away, and no one says, quote, I am sick anymore. Nothing that shrinks your life can come from the same source as the power that gives light to people sitting in darkness and set prisoners free. Negative can never produce positive. That's just not how it works. So if God is light and life is always affirmative, then anything pulling you down, anything shrinking you, cannot be coming from Him. What you've been calling, quote, submission to God's will, when you resign yourself to defeat. The truth is that submission to your own fear, that's submission to your own weakness, that's submission to your own ignorance, not to the supreme good. So next time something goes wrong in your business or your life, and your first instinct is, well, guess this is just meant to be, stop. Ask instead, is this something I should fight or something I've been mislabeled as God's will because it's easier than fighting? How many setbacks have you quietly accepted as meant to be that were never meant for you at all? So, if that kind of submission is fake, what does real submission actually look like? That's where this gets good. Here's the answer to the question you're probably asking right now. Sorry, Sophia. Jay, are you saying you're never submitted to anything? We just do whatever we want? No. The whole secret to real freedom is learning to submit, but to superior truth, not superior force. Sometimes you grow into a bigger truth, and it means rearranging what you believed just before, not throwing it away, just seeing it fit into a bigger picture. That's not defeat, that's growth. The smaller version of you gets swallowed up by the bigger version. Not because you lost, but because you leveled up.
So, real submission isn't bowing down to something outside you, it's more like growing into a bigger version of the truth you already had.
That's it exactly, Sophia. It's not losing yourself, it's expanding. This kind of submission still requires discipline. It requires self knowledge. It requires self control. But it's a completely different act than what we usually mean by the word. It's not half despairing resignation to something outside of you that you just hope is being kind to you. It's an intelligent recognition of the power already inside of you and the laws that grow it stronger. And here's a line worth writing down. This submission isn't to limits that drain your life and make you want to rebel. It's submission to the law of your own growth, the law that says you were built to keep increasing in life and strength, not shrinking. Here's another truth. Submission is the price you pay for increase. Even in the money market, you invest before you profit, right? Nature obeys you exactly as much as you first obeyed nature's laws. That's spiritually and physically. So the real question isn't whether you'll submit, it's what you'll submit to. Will you submit to ignorant submission to death and defeat, or joyful, intelligent obedience to the principles of life? In your business, this means submitting to the process, submitting the discipline, the daily grind, the learning, not because you're powerless, but because you know it's the law that produces growth. That's obedience to life, not surrender to force. Are you avoiding discipline because you think submission makes you weak? Or have you seen that the right kind of submission is actually where your strength gets built? Now, here's the deepest truth in this whole episode, and it might surprise you. If you've truly grasped that you are one with the universal spirit, get ready for this. There's actually no such thing as a submission in the right direction at all. Submission means bowing to the power of another, but a man cannot submit to himself. When the I am in you recognize a bigger version of itself than you've lived before, something happens automatically. You become what you see. You naturally drop whatever was limiting you. That's not submission, that's recognition.
So, when I finally see who I really am in God, I'm not surrendering to something outside me. I'm just becoming it.
Yes, Sophia, that's the whole mystery right there. This is growth, not submission. It's not pouring yourself out in weakness, it's gathering yourself together in increasing strength. There's no weakness in spirit, and you've got to stay alert because the negative is sneaky. It always points outside of you for your strength. Its whole message is I am not, I'm not enough, I'm not capable, I'm not worthy. It wants you to believe your sufficiency isn't your own, that you're just waiting on scraps handed out by chance. But that's not Christ's teaching. You don't need to keep coming back to the well with your bucket like the woman at Samaria. You have an inexhaustible well inside you, living water springing up into everlasting life. Stop waiting for outside permission. Stop waiting for a lucky break. Stop waiting for a perfect market. Stop waiting for someone else's approval. Believe you're capable. That well is already inside of you. Business, health, faith, it's already there. Where have you been drawing water from a well outside yourself when the whole time the source was already in you? So here's where we land. Stop confusing weakness into humility. Stop calling fear faith. The submission that shrinks you was never from God. It came from your own doubt wearing a disguise. But the submission that grows you, that submission to truth, to your own God given identity, to the law of increasing life. The truth is, everything you want exists on the other side of fear. So let's stop leaning on weakness and start standing in strength. Let's inscribe no surrender in big bold letters on our banner and advance, undaunted, to claim our rightful inheritance of liberty and life.
Jay, every time I sit in on these conversations, something in me shifts a little. Today, it was that line, you can't submit to yourself. I think a lot of people listening needed to hear that they're not weak for wanting more. They're just finally waking up. And I already can't wait for what's next. Because once you stop surrendering to the wrong things, the only thing left is becoming whole. So keep that no surrender banner close, friends, because episode 11, phase 6, completeness, is coming. And trust me, it's a good one.
If this episode hit you the way that it hit me and Sophia, do me a favor. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow, drop a comment telling me which part landed the hardest for you. And if you know someone who's been quietly resigning themselves to a life smaller than what they're made for, please send them this episode. This might be exactly what they need to hear today. Come join our community and visit us at the aboveandbeyondpodcast.com. We'd love to have you with us. Many blessings, and we'll see you next time on Above and Beyond Affiliate Marketing. God bless.
And remember that everything exists on the other side of fear.